False expectations in business. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. We do this on a nightly basis where we discuss business ideas, and today we're going to be talking about false expectations and how they can really get you into trouble. In fact, one of the top issues that I see over and over and over again with human beings in general, but especially with business owners, is so much of what we get caught up in is false expectations. And I'll give you a quote that kind of wraps a lot of this up in a second. But first, I wanted to remind you about my book, 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. If you're looking to overcome the competition, go get yourself a free copy of my book. You can get it at amazonproofbook.com. That's amazonproofbook.com. Free copy. You can also buy a copy everywhere that books are sold. So let's talk about false expectations. There was a quote I heard years ago, and it said that, let me see, how's it go? It's people of integrity expect to be believed, but they let time prove them right. And I've always thought that quote has always come back and revisited me through the years. And it's an interesting thing about expectations because I think a lot of times we set ourselves up for the exact wrong expectation. That quote's a great example. Even though the quote means something, it takes us in a different direction. I won't spend too much time going in that direction tonight, but the idea is that you expect to be believed and you let time prove you right. If you know what you're talking about, eventually you get to a point in life where you quit expecting to be believed. And honestly, I think the quote really should be, people of integrity don't expect to be believed, but they do let time prove themselves right. That really is what it comes down to, is I don't expect to be believed by anybody. I'm too old for that. I know that most of the time, especially when I'm right, people are not going to believe me. And even afterwards, will have a tough time convincing themselves that I said the right thing to begin with, even after time has proven me right. I don't ever expect that people are going to go along with what I'm saying. Even though sometimes it's unbelievable the type of things that people get caught up in and they believe themselves. But that's, like I said, that's more of another issue. But the expectation is important. Don't expect to be believed. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. Here's other expectations, but it's less about the expectation itself and more about the emotions that we put into it when you get emotionally involved in an expectation. So you expect somebody's going to win the presidency. Okay, that's fine. You can expect that. But if you get emotionally involved to where your self-worth is behind that expectation, you're messing yourself up one way or the other. Either you feel like you have been personally justified by having somebody win, or you feel like your insides have been ripped out when somebody loses. Don't get emotionally involved in the expectations of your business. Your business is going to do what your business is going to do, and you're going to do your best to drive it in the direction that you see fit, that you think is the right direction at any given time. But don't let your expectations be solidified on an outcome. You may expect something to happen, but it doesn't. Don't put yourself into that expectation. Expectations, I think, are a very important thing. Here's another quote that's come up over the years. You don't get what you want, you get what you expect. I think that's true. I think it's important not to be emotional about the expectation, though. It's expect great things to happen, and I think great things will happen. Expect things to go in the positive direction, they will go in a positive direction. But they never quite happen the way that you think they're going to happen. I don't think there's really any way to completely predict how something's going to happen. You could predict the end result, but I don't think you could predict the way it gets there. And so this is kind of vague. This is kind of in a weird way of thinking. But if you can catch me on this point, expectations are great. But getting caught up and emotionally invested, getting your ego into the expectation is what sets you up for failure. Whether you get what you expect or not, it doesn't matter. You just can't be wrapped up in it. Business has to be over here as another animal. You can't be business. You're involved with business. You're working with business. You're helping business grow. The way a farmer would help his field to grow. He's growing wheat. I don't know. You set a field to grow. You do everything necessary, everything possible. But if the weather doesn't cooperate, the weather just doesn't cooperate. I don't care what you're expecting. You can't get around that. You do what you can and you let the rest go. You can't be you can't be emotionally involved in the outcome. Involved in the outcome, yeah, you want the right thing to happen, but it's the emotions that tend to screw us up. So this is a principle, this is a smaller principle of a greater principle that I like to talk about, which is the whole concept of being reality grounded. Okay, this is one of the 3 pillars of my business, and I see it over and over and over again. Not just, but like I said, this isn't just a business owner issue, but it becomes a lot bigger and broader and soul crushing when a business is involved, because business owners tend to make it their whole life. And as long as you're not emotionally involved with the outcome, you'll be good. No matter what happens, you'll be good. You'll be able to handle disaster, and you'll be able to handle success without getting too high or getting too low. Hopefully that makes sense to you. We'll be back tomorrow night with another tip where we go into some detail. Sometimes I use some real life examples. Tonight was more up in the air principle talk, especially it tends to be when we're talking about being reality grounded. That's where it ends up going. But you have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.